Today we shall discuss yet another important topic, namely icterus. The term icterus is a Greek term meaning jaundice. In French, jaune means yellow. I am going to discuss this topic under these headings: definition, some basic points, causes, method of examination, detection of the depth of jaundice. 6 basic questions that you have to ask in all cases of jaundice, other signs, difficulties, red flag, confirmation, and other jaundice or icterus related terms. First of all, the definition: yellowish discoloration of sclera, skin and mucous membrane due to increased amount of serum bilirubin more than 2 mg% in fair skin individual and more than 3 mg% in dark skin individual. Literally, both icterus and jaundice are having the same meaning, but in medicine, icterus is a sign of jaundice. To see icterus in skin, serum bilirubin must be greater than 6 mg%. And now we shall discuss some basic points. Components of normal serum bilirubin are: 1. The normal total bilirubin is 0.2 to 0.9 mg%. Normally, unconjugated bilirubin is 70% and conjugated bilirubin is 30% of the total. Newer technique of analysis shows 10% of total bilirubin is virtually in all individuals, and those even with the Gilbert syndrome is unconjugated. Free bilirubin is toxic to tissues, and bilirubin circulate in the blood in the combination with albumin and high density lipoprotein. These combinations unload bilirubin to the hepatocyte since the combinations are reversible. But in severe jaundice, some of the fraction of the albumin bilirubin combination is irreversible and it is called delta bilirubin. Different types of bilirubin: water soluble. In unconjugated bilirubin, it is water insoluble. In conjugated bilirubin, it is water soluble. Affinity for lipid, it is maximum for unconjugated, and for conjugated there is no affinity to lipids. Renal excretion for unconjugated, it will not occur, but in conjugated bilirubin it is filterable through the kidney. Van Berg reaction is positive in the case of conjugated bilirubin and it is absent or negative in the case of unconjugated bilirubin. Hyperbilirubinemia and jaundice, what is the relationship? Increase in serum bilirubin more than normal, that is more than 0.9 mg%, is hyperbilirubinemia. Serum bilirubin more than 2 to 3 mg% is jaundice. Latent or biochemical jaundice, serum bilirubin serum will be yellow but no clinical jaundice. Conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, where the conjugate bilirubin is more than 50% of total. Unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia, the unconjugated bilirubin is more than 80% of the total. Bilirubin in diseases. Conjugated hyperbilirubinemia occurs only in hepatobiliary diseases. Monoglucuronide bilirubin predominates over diglucuronide bilirubin in hepatobiliary diseases. There is significant increase in delta bilirubin to the tune of 70-90% in cholestatic and hepatobiliary diseases and Gilbert syndrome. The half-life of it is almost that of bilirubin. Therefore, in this condition, the icterus remain longer, that is 12 to 14 days instead of the usual 4 days. 4 days in the case of other type of jaundice. Causes of icterus. Causes of icterus or jaundice are prehepatic, that is otherwise known as hemolytic; hepatic, that is the hepatocellular; post-hepatic, obstructive or cholestatic jaundice. We will see the prehepatic causes first, that Prehepatic jaundice is usually known to produce a slight yellow color in the sclera, therefore it is known as lemon yellow jaundice. Hemolytic disorders like hereditary phagocytosis, sickle cell anemia, G6PD deficiency, malaria, and blood transfusion related jaundice, Rh incompatibility, these are the important causes for hemolytic disorders producing jaundice. Inherited condition producing jaundice are Gilbert syndrome, Crigler-Najjar, type 1 and type 2, Dubin-Johnson syndrome, Rotor syndrome, and other condition, it is thalassemia and snake bite poisoning. Hepatocellular jaundice is the deep jaundice, therefore it is otherwise known as orange yellow jaundice. It is known to occur in acute liver disease and chronic liver disease. Acute liver disease, for example, viral hepatitis A, B, and E are known to produce jaundice, and drugs like paracetamol, rifampicin, isoniazid, halothane, methyl dopa, phenytoin, sodium valproate are known to produce acute liver cell injury and jaundice. The one that is known to produce chronic liver cell injury are chronic viral hepatitis B as well as C, alcoholic liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hemochromatosis, Wilson's disease, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Autoimmune hepatitis is known to produce both acute as well as chronic jaundice. Other causes for chronic jaundice are primary biliary cirrhosis and primary sclerosing cholangitis. Causes for obstructive jaundice are, that is intrahepatic cholestasis, that is otherwise known as medical jaundice, and other one is the extrahepatic cholestasis, that is otherwise known as surgical jaundice. Intrahepatic jaundice, usually you get the deep jaundice, that is the deep cholestatic jaundice. The causes are viral hepatitis, where the compression of the swollen hepatocytes on the biliary radical is known to produce cholestasis. Cirrhosis of liver, primary biliary cirrhosis, primary sclerosing cholangitis, alcohol, lymphoma or tuberculosis, cystic fibrosis. In pregnancy, there is a condition what is called cholestatic jaundice of pregnancy, that is known to occur with repeated pregnancy. Extrahepatic or surgical jaundice, where you get that green hue to the yellow color, that is otherwise known as cholemia. It is known to occur in carcinoma, head of the pancreas, and when the patient is having carcinoma of the gallbladder, Klatskin's tumor, gallstones, cholangiocarcinoma, chronic pancreatitis, porta hepatis, lymph node, roundworm impaction in the biliary passage are the other causes for obstructive jaundice. That this type of obstructive jaundice are amenable to surgery, and that is the reason it is otherwise known as surgical jaundice. Method of examination: under bright natural light, we have to examine the sclera, soft palate, floor of mouth, especially the frenulum of the tongue, palms, skin, especially the skin of the face, sternum, nail, palms, and sometimes in soles in the case of infants. This picture shows the method of examination of sclera. Ask the patient to look down. You have to lift up both the upper eyelid and at the same time you have to ask the patient to look at your finger shown below and see. Therefore you get a good exposition of the upper sclera, and upper sclera you get icterus more commonly, even when it is a very light in color. There is affinity of bilirubin to the elastic tissue, and the elastic tissue is abundant there in the upper sclera. Moreover, the upper sclera will be always covered by the upper eyelid, and therefore there will not be any risk of photoisomerization of that bilirubin into soluble bilirubin. Probably these are the reasons why you are able to see the jaundice there in the upper sclera when compared to the lower sclera. Moreover, the white background of the sclera is we can make use of to detect the color changes. This slide, this is the correct method to look for the upper sclera, and we can see jaundice clearly there in the sclera. It is, and this is the correct method for examining the upper sclera. At another place, the soft palate, here there in the right side figure, there is no yellowness, and what the color difference between the hard palette and soft palette is the normal different color difference. But in the case of the right side figure, you can very well see the yellowness there in the soft palette. Now, when you are searching the floor of the mouth by asking the patient to turn the tip of the tongue to touch the palate, you can see the floor of the mouth, and floor of the mouth, especially about the frenulum, are to look for the color changes. And where it is easy to detect a jaundice there, the floor of the mouth about the frenulum. Now, in deep jaundice, you can see jaundice even there in the skin, as seen there in the pinna, and you can also see it there in the palm, as shown there in this picture. And after detecting the jaundice, you have to make an attempt to detect the depth of jaundice. In this patient, when you are making close observation of the sclera, then only you can detect the jaundice, and therefore this is the light jaundice, or what is called lemon yellow jaundice, usually seen in hemolytic anemia. But in this picture, see, everybody can make out the jaundice because yellowness will be very obvious, and this is what is called orange yellow jaundice, usually seen in hepatocellular illnesses. Now, in this patient, in addition to the yellow color, you can see a green hue here, and therefore that's a point in favor of cholemia. That means it is obstructive jaundice, and of the green color is obvious there in this photograph, and therefore it is nothing but obstructive jaundice, usually seen in extrahepatic biliary obstruction. Now, roughly one can grade the jaundice. Mild jaundice less than 6 milligram percentage. Moderate jaundice, it is 6 to 15 milligram percentage. Severe jaundice, more than 15 milligram percentage. Now, we shall see what are the questions you have to ask in the case of jaundice. We have to ask 6 basic questions like what the color of urine, second, what the color of eyes, third, what the color of stool, fourth, is there any severe upper abdominal pain, fifth, is there any fever and rigor, lastly, is there any history of jaundice there in the past. First, about the color of urine. Normal urine is straw colored due to the presence of urochrome, and urine will be yellow in color when there is bile there in the urine, that is what is called coluria. When there is no bile in the urine, that is what is called acaluria. The high colored urine can occur physiologically, as in the case of early morning sample, fasting, dehydration after taking some food like beetroot or bakery items, drugs like vitamin B complex. Pathological condition known to produce high colored urine, that is the commonest one, it is the hepatocellular jaundice, and other one it is the obstructive jaundice, where conjugated bilirubin will come in the urine and turn the urine yellow. Next one is the second question. It is what is the color of eyes? Usually, the first symptom, as I already mentioned, the high colored urine in the initial days of the illness, because to turn the eye, there should be a accumulation of bilirubin there in the sclera over days. Then only there will be yellowness there in the sclera. And third question, what the color of the stool? Normal stool is a brown in color due to the presence of stercobilin, which is produced from the bilirubin normally coming into the gut through the bile. But when there is obstruction for the bile flow, there will not be any bile reaching there in the intestine, and therefore the stool will be clay colored or pale in color, and therefore that's a important symptom of obstructive jaundice. Fourth question you have to ask, is there any history of severe upper abdominal pain suggestive of biliary coli? And in that case, you have to consider the possibility of extrahepatic biliary obstruction. And only in extrahepatic biliary obstruction, you get the biliary coli, the pain in the epigastrium, radiating to the right side of the shoulder and the left infrascapular area. The pain will be almost unbearable pain, and that you get only in extrahepatic biliary obstruction. Fifth question you should ask, whether there is any history of fever on rigor. When there is history of fever on rigor, you have to consider the possibility of ascending cholangitis. And sixth question you should ask, see, is there any history of similar complaints there in the past, as in the case, because there will be a family history and recurrent jaundice in the case of Gilbert syndrome, and you have to ask history of hospitalization, blood transfusion, and surgery, and because hepatitis B and C are known to produce long-standing jaundice. And see, next, alcohol intake and drug intake, because both these conditions are also known to produce jaundice. Familial hyperbilirubinemia, usually it is the unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. The most important one is the Gilbert syndrome, Crigler-Najjar syndrome, and these are known to produce unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. And conjugate hyperbilirubinemia usually get in Leuben-Johnson syndrome and Rotter syndrome. In Rotter syndrome, color of the liver will be normal, but in Leuben-Johnson syndrome, because of the deposition of that bilirubin there in the liver, it will look brown. Other signs, pallor, because pallor and jaundice we get in hemolytic anemia. At another sign, you have to look for hepatosplenomegaly, that is common in infection, lymphoma, and leukemia. Leg ulcers is common in familial hemolytic anemia like hereditary spherocytosis, and you get xanthoma. Xanthoma, the color will be yellow, therefore it will be confusing with the jaundice. And at another one, the weight loss. When there is weight loss, consider the possibility of malignancy, infection like COX and HIV infection. And other features of obstructive jaundice like polished nail and scratch mark also you have to look for. And yet another important dental examination find is, when you are seeing in jaundice, you have to look for stigmata of liver diseases. Other signs of obstructive jaundice, I already mentioned the scratch mark, because the obstructive jaundice is known to produce pruritus because of the accumulation of bile salts. and because in the repeated scratching, there will be a polished nail appearing. While cells are known to suppress synodal activity, and this is the reason why there is bradycardia. And see, because of the obstructive jaundice, there can be that deficiency of the clotting factor, especially the vitamin K dependent clotting factor, and therefore there can be bleeding manifestation. And the obstructive jaundice is sometimes, especially in malignancy, we get enlarged gallbladder, and the obstructive in cholecystitis, there will be positive Murphy sign. After the Murphy sign, you have to look for cholemia, that is a green hue to the jaundice, and always it is indicative of a severe form of jaundice. And at another finding you have to look for is left supraclavicular lymph node enlargement. The Virchow lymph node, usually when it is enlarged, that is in favor of intra-abdominal malignancy. Now let us see what are the stigmata of liver disease. The stigmata are head to bottom. The stigmata are lusterless hair, old man facies, icterus, bilateral parotid enlargement, acidotic breathing, feet hepaticus, bleeding gums, spider neve, injection hematoma, muscle wasting, palmar erythema, pallor, and cyanosis. See, usually when the person is having icterus, see, in chronic liver disease, it often indicate a terminal course of the illness. At another general examination findings in the case of chronic liver diseases are deep contraction, clubbing, leukonychia, flapping tremor or hysteresis, gynecomastia. In female, it will be breast atrophy, ascites, everted umbilicus distended vein, caput medusa, which is not a very common finding in the case of portal hypertension, but it may occur in portal hypertension. Loss of pubic and axillary hair, testicular atrophy, pedal edema, and extensor plantar. Fluctuating jaundice, here again you have to say there is the depth, waxing and waning, Gilbert syndrome, Gilbert gallstone, periampullary carcinoma, hemolytic anemia, chronic active hepatitis. Difficulties: muddy conjunctiva, marked pallor, cosmetic application of turmeric, carotenemia, the sclera and mucous membrane unaffected, skin stain due to clofazimine, quinacrine, rifabutin, mepacrine, etabrin, toxicity, and also in diffuse xanthomatosis there can be a yellow hue. This picture is showing yellowness of the palm, but the sclera is not yellow, tongue is not yellow, therefore this is carotenemia due to excessive eating of carotene contained food like tomato and carrot. This is yellow appearing after application of the cosmetic agent in the turmeric. This is the skin after the clofazimine intake, and it may confuse with sometimes with the jaundice. And this is the diffuse xanthomatosis, xanthoma, because it is the yellow swelling, and because everything you get a yellow color to the lesion, and one may suspect even for some jaundice when the lesion is very diffuse. Red flag, bleeding. When you are getting bleeding, you have to suspect leptospirosis, especially when the patient is having fever and hemorrhagic jaundice. Fever and rigor, always consider the possibility of malaria, leptospirosis, ascending cholangitis, hemolysis. Enlarged gallbladder, you have to consider the curvaceous law, left supraclavicular lymph node, you have to consider the possibility of malignancy and Cox. Rapid painless progressive jaundice, usually you have to consider neoplasm. Clay colored stool, always consider the possibility of extrahepatic biliary obstruction, especially carcinoma head of the pancreas. Altered sensorium, you have to consider the possibility of encephalopathy. And this picture is showing hemorrhagic jaundice, and differential diagnosis we already discussed. This is the picture the yellowness of the palm. It is clear, very obvious, and when you are getting the flapping tremor along with that, you have to consider hepatic encephalopathy. Confirming investigation in the case of icterus or jaundice, there are the CBC left, but the main investigation is the liver function test, ultrasonography, abdomen, CT abdomen, ERCP, MRCP, prothrombin time and INR, serology for viral markers, OGD scopy, malaria parasite, IG leptospira antibody, IgM antibody for dengue, then liver biopsy in difficult situations. You have to remember some related term, latent or biochemical jaundice. It is usually when the serum bilirubin is less than 2 or 3 milligram percentage. Then acaloric jaundice, that is hemolytic jaundice, no yellowness for the urine, but the jaundice will be there in the eye. Unilateral jaundice, in hemiplegic side, sometimes they show lesser movement related blood flow in the paralyzed side. Unilateral jaundice in the eye, artificial eye, Murphy's sign, cholecystitis, Courvoisier's law, it is in favor of malignancy. Fluctuating jaundice, we considered the differential diagnosis. Now it is the prednisolone white wash test. In obstructive jaundice, especially in intrahepatic jaundice, when they are giving a large dose of prednisolone, that is known to make that jaundice to disappear markedly, at least in the intensity. That is why it is called whitewash test. Delta bilirubin, that is irreversibly bound bilirubin to the albumin, is the delta bilirubin. And these are the different references. Thank you for